Good evening, I'm Camelia and this is KiniNews. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has clarified his travel expenses during a recent trip. Here's what he said about the matter. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim is in defense mode after his remarks in Parliament raised questions about private businesses allegedly paying for his travel expenses on official trips. In a post on Facebook, he clarified that his portion of travel expenses were all covered by the government. He said he did not use funds from private companies. Anwar explained that the government used a Malaysia Airlines flight to visit 4 countries at a cost of 1.6 million ringgit, and this used government funds completely. He added that the balance of seats in the flights were offered to private companies who were going to the same countries as he was to seek investments or partnerships. He said these private companies paid 4.5 million ringgit for their share of the flight costs. He reiterated that the government did not use private funds and said that there is no conflict of interest. Anwar added that the public shouldn't get trapped by slander from the crazy era. Anwar was responding to a Sinar Harian article last Friday quoting C4 Center as saying that using private funds in the Premier's flights may lead to such companies asking for something in return. Earlier this morning, the CSO Platform for Reform also issued a statement which expressed concerns about private sector funding undermining the government's integrity. Saifuddin said the Home Ministry will comply with a court ruling on the seized Swatch watches. He said the ministry must comply with the decision or else it will be viewed as contempt. The Home Ministry will comply with a court decision to return 172 watches seized in a crackdown last year from the Swatch Pride collection. Home Minister Saifuddin Nasution Ismail defended the crackdown, saying that it followed procedures and laws but also conceded to the court's purview to rule in a challenge filed by the Swiss watchmaker. He said if that is the court decision, by right, the Home Ministry must comply with the decision or else it would be viewed as contempt. He added that he must first get the report on the judgment. The Kuala Lumpur High Court this morning allowed Swatch Group Malaysia's judicial review for the return of its watches in various rainbow shades. The civil court judge ruled the seizure was illegal as it was done before the prohibition over the items was gazetted under the Printing Presses and Publications Act. The government had seized the Swatch watches in May last year but only gazetted a ban several months later in August. Earlier today, the court ruled that the ministry must return all the watches within 14 days. A Swiss watchmaker succeeded in getting back its Pride collection timepieces, which were seized by Malaysian authorities in a crackdown last year. The Kuala Lumpur High Court today allowed Swatch Group Malaysia's judicial review for the return of its watches in various rainbow shades. Judge Amarjit Singh ordered the ministry to return all the watches within 14 days from today. The judge ruled that the seizure was illegal as it was done before the prohibition over the items was gazetted. The ministry seized the timepieces in nationwide raids between May 13th and 15th last year. On August 10th last year, the government gazetted the ban on any Swatch watches or related material containing LGBT influences under Section 7 of the Printing Presses and Publications Act. In an affidavit, Swatch's country manager Martin Ising pointed out that prior to the raid, the watches were openly sold in Malaysia with no incident. In conjunction with Malaysia Kini turning 25, from now to 30th November, you can subscribe or renew your Malaysia Kini package with 25% off. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen to enjoy this exclusive offer. The issue over language on signboards was in the headlines today with Akmal hitting back at the tourism minister over his remarks. Let's take a look at what he said. Umno Youth Chief Dr Muhamad Akmal Saleh has responded to Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Tiong over his remarks on Kuala Lumpur City Hall's crackdown on business signages. On a post on Facebook, Akmal said the ones who are being racist are those who have lived in Malaysia for a long time but still pretend not to understand the laws and sensitivities of the people in this country. Akmal drew comparisons with other countries where national languages dominate public signage. He said if you go to other countries, they prioritize their own language on signboards, and only then will there be additions in other languages. He questioned if such a simple matter cannot be understood, how can they make others understand? He also asked if they were the ones that did not understand Malay. Akmal said this in response to Tiong, who had said that he is receiving questions from foreign tourists on whether Malaysia is a racist or religiously extreme nation. This came after DBKL launched a large-scale operation raiding premises that allegedly erected illegal signages. While details are scarce, remarks by Tiong and Bukit Bintang MP Fong Kui Lun implied that the City Hall also cracked down on businesses with signs that did not comply with Malay language requirements. OneF also hit out at Tiong. This was over the minister's apology to China tourists. Machang MP Wan Ahmad Kamal has criticized Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Tiong King Sing for apologizing to China tourists. At a press conference in Parliament today, the Bersatu lawmaker questioned Tiong's motives and reasoning, describing the move as unwarranted and trivial.
Dia ni Menteri Pelancongan China ke Malaysia? Buat apa dia minta maaf di China itu? Ya? Berkenaan dengan kononnya, kita tidak melayani pelancong China dengan baik. Tiada prasarana yang memudahkan mereka. Saya berbalik daripada China, Beijing dan Shanghai. Mana ada isu kita pergi sana mengemis minta dipermudahkan dalam bahasa Inggeris? Tidak. Kita tahu itu dasar dan undang-undang mereka. Dan pelancong pun datang sini bukan sebab dia nak tengok kita ni lebih Cina daripada dia. Dia nak meraihkan apa yang ada di Malaysia.
OneF was responding to media reports about Tiong's recent apology during his speech at the China International Travel Mart opening in Shanghai. In his speech, Tiong acknowledged that some Chinese tourists had unpleasant experiences in Malaysia and apologized for the shortcomings. He did not elaborate on the nature of the shortcomings or unpleasantness encountered by tourists. A GRS assembly person has forgiven a Warisan lawmaker who she claimed punched her on the shoulder at the Sabah State Assembly building. The assembly person had apologized, saying his jest may have been rough and he had no intention to hurt her. A Gabungan Rakyat Sabah assembly person has forgiven a Warisan assembly person who punched her in the shoulder earlier this week. Kunak lawmaker Noor Azlina Arif, however, only accepted the apology after lodging a police report. The incident occurred on Wednesday at the Sabah State Legislature. A video posted by Noor Azlina showed Marotai assembly person Saifuddin Hatta walking past her while making a punching motion with a closed fist. Noor Azlina then cries "Aduh" while Saifuddin continues walking. In a Facebook post, she said it was a rough jest by Marotai and her body spun after her shoulder was punched. According to the police report she filed on Friday, Noor Azlina said Saifuddin hit her quite hard and caused pain that lasted days. In a comment on her video on Wednesday, the Warisan lawmaker called on others not to misunderstand his friendship with Noor Azlina. She replied that she thought they were friends too, but that Saifuddin had not smiled or said anything when he punched her. Saifuddin replied back, saying he did smile, but he was in a rush for a press conference and only apologized on Thursday morning when Noor Azlina said the punch had hurt her. Saifuddin then sought forgiveness, admitting that his jest might have been rough and that he had no intentions of hurting Noor Azlina. Noor Azlina initially did not accept the apology but softened her stance yesterday, with her and her husband forgiving Saifuddin after the police report and an examination by an expert was done. That is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.